How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about NBC News figuratively digging up Mitch McConnell's ancestors that owned slaves back in 1850, 1860 Alabama. Now, this report is really crazy, and if you want to read that, I'll place that in the description box. The general gist of it, what they were trying to say without saying it, is since Mitch McConnell is currently right now in 2019 against reparations, but his family owned slaves back in the 1800s, that makes him a hypocrite. Basically, you want to deny reparations, although you benefited from slavery. That's what they're trying to say. Again, they didn't say that specifically, exactly, but if you read the report, you'll get that from that. Now, this is really crazy. How can Mitch McConnell be held responsible for what his ancestors did? Number one, it was not illegal during the time. Number two, Mitch McConnell did not do it, even if it were illegal. We know it's immoral right now and it's illegal right now, but that's totally irrelevant because Mitch McConnell did not do it. If you dig up figuratively, again, anybody's ancestors, you're going to find some things you might not want to see, okay? People that were engaging in all kind of crime, people that are pushing drugs, people that abuse children, people that rob, rape, kill, all of that in people's ancestral past. What does that got to do with right now, though? How does that mean that I'm responsible for what my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather did 1,000 years ago? You understand what I'm saying? It's not my fault. I didn't do it. But you know what? The real reason for this is, in my humble opinion, is because you have this lady running up against him. I can't remember her name, but I'll place that in the description box, maybe even on the screen. She is a former fighter pilot. She wants to take Mitch McConnell's spot in the Senate in Kentucky. I think that's what it's about. If you go on Twitter and you see that hashtag ditch Mitch, you're going to see the whole slave owning ancestor story, but you're also going to see tweets about this lady trying to come in there to become the next senator. So I think that NBC's colluding with this lady and people that want her to come in there to get him out to reduce the GOP's power and their numbers in the Senate. Okay. And he's also the Senate Majority Leader. So you want to get him out of there as quickly as possible. So you want to put this story out and be like, look at him. You know, his family owned slaves, but he's against reparations. He's a hypocrite. Is that and a third? It's clear to me what's happening because we're not talking about anybody else in the race right now or in politics whose ancestors own slaves like Barack Obama. I think Barack Obama admitted that his mother's side had ancestors that own slaves. Okay. We all know that. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's not a rumor. It has been proven. And if you want to see articles about that, again, I will link them in the description box below. So that's one person. Barack Obama, mixed race. His father was from Africa. His mother is a white American, or was a white American, and her ancestors own slaves. So that means Barack Obama's ancestors own slaves, okay? And I've never heard him speak about reparations. I'm reading that he was against it. I'm not sure if he was or he wasn't, but what I do know is that he never was for it. That was never a thing, because if he was for it, that'll be quoted all the time. People will say in the debates, well, Barack Obama was for reparations. How about you? That's not happening. And if he was for it, it would have been a bigger conversation. There'd be all kind of panels and stuff like that. You're having panels right now in 2019 about reparations with the ADOS movement happening, but that never went on under Barack Obama. But I digress. Kamala Harris, who is trying to pass herself off as black, okay, even though her father is basically 50-50 black and white and her mother is from the Indian subcontinent. But again, I'll move on. Her family owned slaves as well back in Jamaica on her father's side, okay? I think her father was a white guy from Ireland or England, somewhere in that particular part of Europe. He came to Jamaica. He owned a sugar cane plantation. In 1834, when slavery was outlawed in Jamaica, he imported a bunch of Irishmen to basically be indentured servants or legal slaves to do the same exact job that the other slaves, the black slaves, were doing. Okay. So if we're going to talk about Mitch McConnell and bring him out there and say, oh, you're a hypocrite, this, that, and the third, why not Kamala Harris? You know, not only are you a hypocrite because you ain't talking about reparations, you ain't talking about, oh, we're going to have this, we're going to do this, we're going to pay. You don't want to talk about that. So you are the same as Mitch McConnell, but you also are not being genuine about who you are. you are mixed race at best, but you want to call yourself black for this particular moment in time. Okay. Now, some would say, oh, she never called herself black, this, that, and the third. But during the debate, she said this famous line, I am the only black woman on stage. I got to speak about race. So she self-identifies as black. Her whole talking points revolve around being black. This little fake thing between her and Joe Biden during the debate was centered around her being black. So let's not play no games. She wants to claim to be black, but at the same time, reparations, I don't know about that. And her family owned slaves, okay? Which is why the whole idea of reparations is kind of silly to begin with, because, I mean, once you look into people's family tree and shake it, you might find something you don't want to see, okay? It could be a black person like myself. You see me right now, you see my skin color, but you don't even know that I have mixed people in my family that I've met. My great-grandfather was mixed black and white. My grandma, my dad's mom, was very, very light-skinned. She could pass as almost white, okay? So people don't even really understand. You can't judge a book by its cover. Once you dig in people's family history and look into their life and see what's really going on, you're going to find slaves, slave owners, people that did heinous things, people that have done things that you're not going to be proud of. So NBC, in my humble opinion, are just trying to smear Mitch McConnell because they don't like Trump. They don't like the GOP. They don't like conservatives. So they want to get us out of power. And what better way to do it with a smear piece like this that's going to be on television probably. It'll be on your website. It'll be all over the internet. And it's a great way for this lady running against him to have some kind of ammunition, some dirt to use against her opponent, Mitch McConnell, who is, again, the Senate Majority Leader, a very powerful person. So what do you think? Do you think that this whole story from NBC News ain't nothing but a hit piece against Mitch McConnell, trying to paint him as a hypocrite because his family, like 200 years ago, owned slaves? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Or is it a valid piece that we must know about our elected officials' ancestry? If that's the case, let's talk about everybody. Let's not do a report centered around one person. Let's not do hit pieces based on one person. Let's look at everybody's ancestry. When you come into the government in any kind of capacity above, House, Senate, President, once you are in there, let's have a DNA test done immediately. Let's spend all kind of money to look into your past. I wonder how much this actual study cost. They're looking at census records, all this and that. And it'd be hilarious if they add that, are you a citizen question to the census? And then people would say, oh, no, that's racist. The census, it can't be tainted like that. Well, I think you would like that information if you're trying to find out some dirt on somebody from 200 years ago. But again, I digress. I want everybody to get treated this way and not just one person, because if you're just treating one person this way or one side of the aisle that way, it's clear bias. So all you're doing is just proving our point. Those of us on the right that say the leftist media is biased against us and wants to see us fail, while they want their counterparts, their friends and their colleagues on the left who are in government to succeed. Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.